In fact, I toyed with this idea for almost 6 years. I went to every bank there is. I talked to too many investors regarding funding the project, Mytown. So I went even to NSE, Nairobi Stock Exchange, to raise money, which didn't work. So finally, actually, I went to a friend of mine who I knew for a long time. And I went to, in fact, I went to him to introduce me to somebody who can fund this project. Because, of course, it's a big project. So I explained to them that I needed a contact, I needed a connection, somebody to fund a project. Then he told me how much. I told him 20 billion.
20 billion.
20 billion. You see, just the way you laugh, even me.
Good afternoon, morning, or even evening, depends wherever you're watching us from. This is Influencer TV Kenya, and my name is Joan Mwaneki, definitely the host of the day, bringing you the best of business content so that we can be able to elevate your business together. Today we have a very desirable story, a story driven by perseverance and transformation. Just imagine, from washing dishes, from constructions, to leading a multi-million-dollar empire. Mwenda Thuranira over here is actually a living testimony that no dream is too big. And right now, I just want us to go direct and talk to him. Hi, Mwenda.
Hello, Joan. How are you today?
Fine, thank you. I'm so humbled to have you today as our guest. This is really something big to us. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Karibu sana.
Feel free. Asante, naona leo tumekutembelea kwa ofisi yako.
Yes.
So thank you for what you've offered.
Yes. Maji tu.
Hiyo maji ni poa.
Zingine zinakuja baadaye.
Well, so now, today we are happy that you're ready to give us your story. And this story will be out there so that we can inspire other people that want to be successful like you. And I'll just give you this chance to, first of all, do an introduction of yourself.
Okay, my name is Mwenda Thuranira, CEO of MySpace Properties and developer of Mytown malls. And we are in real estate business. We are all around in real estate, from development to management to marketing, project management, and anything real estate. Basically, if we cannot do, we have the network to do it. So I've been in real estate for almost 20 years now. And still, I think I have another 10 years to go in this real estate journey. Yes.
That is absolutely amazing. And the biggest reason as to why we were in search of you is, of course, you've made it in your business.
How do you know?
We've seen you. You're out there. Chema chajiuza.
Yes.
Yes. So now, before we get to that point, I would want us, first of all, to talk about your upbringing so that we know where all this started, the journey. Kutoka tu ukiwa mtoto.
Yes.
Can we go back to that point?
Okay. So I was born in Isiolo, brought up in Meru. And most of my childhood, I grew between Isiolo and Meru. Actually, I grew most of my part with my grandmother back in the village in Gekomene. That's in Meru.
Yeah, I know Gekomene.
Good. You know that village?
I know the village.
Good. So that's the village I grew up in. And fortunately, my grandfather was in business. And actually, my father was in business. So I learned the skills. I could listen to what they were talking about at a early age. And one thing they were in transport business, construction, wholesale, distribution of alcohol, cigarettes, and everything. Everything business. Actually, my grandfather was one of the founders of Isiolo town. They set up the first shop and everything. But one thing which interested paid me out of their business was the construction. Since, of course, being in real estate, at a young age, I would follow my grandfather to construction sites. I see how they're doing. I really enjoyed that part. And I came to realize that's where my passion lies. When you see just a land, then within no time you see a building. Within no time you see people living in. I mean, that's exciting for me. That's up to date still excites me. So that's, in short, that's been my journey. I studied in Meru, in some schools, of course, I know you have never heard of. Like I went to a school called St. Martin Primary School. Sure you have not heard of that.
Yeah.
I went to Borerure.
I know of that.
Borerure.
Vizuri sana.
School near Maua.
Yes.
I mean, but it's not the kind of alliance. Although nilienda alliance pia kutembelea my cousin alikuwa anasoma huko. Lakini so, but I mean, not these grammar schools and stuff like that. Then I found myself in Utalii College. For 2 years, I did travel operations. Of course, I know you'll ask me if I went to learn how to cook.
Yeah, but before we even get to Utalii and the travel, I still want to I still want to dig deep into your story,
the business part.
Childhood story.
Yes.
Because now, actually, I was reading some of the articles and I came across somewhere where when you were between 10 to 14 years,
yes,
you are a business owner.
Exactly.
And I really want to know how you jiggled between business, you're a baby, and I think you're supposed to be in school.
That's one, of
for
course.
Heaven's sake.
Of course, I cannot call myself a business owner.
But it was.
Yeah, but I mean, when I was young, like my grandmother used to rear chicken, and my grandmother didn't know what to do with the eggs. So in the house, always there were eggs. So I said, why don't we start selling these eggs? So she asked me, now who can buy all these? Big gifts to some people, villagers and stuff like that. So as a young boy, I went to town and started sourcing for market for these eggs. Then I would sell eggs and bring her money. She would be very happy. She would give some back, a little back. And that way I knew the value of money from a very young age. And I knew for you to be able to make money, you have to add value or solve a problem. So I know she had no time to go to look for market or stuff like that. But me, I'm on holiday or I'm not in school. I have all the time to do that. Also, I used to build some nice rabbit houses. So whenever other neighbors would come to our place, they would see these rabbit houses and they would want me to build for them. So at some point, I started charging them. They were willing to pay.
Yeah, of course.
And then I did that for a while. What really opened my eyes in the business world? You know, I told you I grew up between Meru and Isiolo.
Yes.
At the age of around 14, I had an uncle of mine called Mwenda Thuranira. He used to run a big wholesale in Isiolo. Whenever it was holidays, now when I was 14, maybe I was a circumcised boy now. So I have to live with the muzee, with wazee, without our wazees. So now I was living with my uncle now in Isiolo. He used to teach me how business is done, what he does, distribution, how do you distribute it to shops, how do you go for correction, how do you go to talk to customers and stuff like that. So at the age of 14, actually, my uncle would leave even for a week and leave the whole business. There's a big business. For those who know DGT in Isiolo, they know what I'm talking about. It's a big enterprise. You run transport, you run distribution, you run deliveries, you run pickup, banking, getting to count the money, putting them in bundles, taking them to the bank.
At 14.
At 14. So it was very exciting. I think I had the best experience then. And then I used to juggle between holidays. I go work. Then when I go to school, I focus on school.
So your period, it's not like you are in a boarding school?
No, I was in a boarding school,
So
especially
the only
secondary
time you got
school.
to do that is when you are out on holiday?
Yes, on holidays, yes. But in school, I didn't do much business. We were not allowed. I could have been buying brand and sell, but I really focused on education in school.
And how was your performance, if I may ask? Because umesema about focusing, so maybe.
Yes,
why not?
of course, in my schooling, whenever I focused, I did well.
Whenever you focused?
Whenever I focused.
Whenever you didn't?
Whenever I didn't, of course I failed. And of course I would get some beating at home and stuff like that. Then when I come back now, but being an ambitious kid, of course I want to be number one. I want to be number one in everything. So I would make sure I read, I do my homeworks, and I read very well. But mostly, in school, I am not the kind of a person of maybe taking notes. I like understanding what they are talking about. Then I revise. That's how I used to do my schooling.
Now, moving on, you mentioned Utalii College. How did you find yourself in Utalii, and any cooking involved? Upe kitunguu sai tuitishe. Leteni vitunguu.
No, of course, Utalii College. Now, when I cleared my fourth form, I had four letters. I had an invitation by George Washington University in the US, which I had applied since I had interest to go to America. Then I had a letter from Nairobi University to go study Bachelor of Arts. Then I had a letter for travel operations, Utalii College. So, of course, my first pick was to go to George Washington University. I'm saying like, okay, in America, utapotea tutakuona tena. So, and of course, the cost was high. But now we went to this other Nairobi University. Wewe bana utaenda kurusha mao huko nini? And again, it was coming much later.
Yani wanakuamini na mapesa lakini kurusha mawe wanaogopa.
No, I think they knew but the way they were coming, I mean, the Washington, because of the cost, it was prohibitive. And this other one for university, I think it was coming like October. And then we were like in the February hapa mbele mbele. So what my dad told me, wewe anza utalii, alafu yema mengine itakuja mbele. And again, it was the cheapest option. So not that he really liked, but it was the cheapest best option available. So I found myself in Utalii doing travel operations, something I've never thought about.
And this is the first time you're coming to Nairobi?
Yes. Nilikuwa mshamba kabisa. Ndio sasa nikakuja Utalii College, travel operations, nikasoma for 2 years. Although, I mean, that's the position I was in, and I had to do my best in it. So I cleared well. I passed well. Then I got internship with Air France at the airport as a customer service. In fact, from internship, when I got internship for 3 months, I worked so hard. Those guys never wanted me to leave. So they gave me a job immediately.
Nice.
In fact, during my graduation day, I was in Paris for training.
For training?
Something so like 18, 19-year-old. That was very exciting. Hata sijamaliza. I'm here in Paris on my own rights.
Hujatumwa na mzazi.
Sijatumwa na mzazi. Ni kazi yangu imeongea.
Wow, that's good.
So, of course, I trained, I came back, worked for a while, for almost 2 years. Then they closed.
Because this is yani airline, it's not Kenyan. Vitu za languages.
No, of course.
French,
now when I started working there, I went to Alliance Française.
Jamani.
Je parle un peu français. To appel, je m'appelle Mwenda. So I went to learn. But although they don't focus on French only, I mean, there are so many English-speaking countries which they fly to. And many people traveling, I mean, they transit in Paris from elsewhere, they come to Kenya. So not necessarily French-speaking. And again, I had ile ya kuomba maji. Singekosa kuambia, excusez-moi, s'il vous plaît, monsieur. Au revoir.
Mtanifukuza. Mimi nikishikiwa gani yangu imeisha. Bonjour.
Bonjour imeisha.
Na merci beaucoup. Kama hiyo, thank you.
But then one thing I learned in Paris, like when you go there, for example, you want to ask somebody for direction, and maybe you ask in English, they look at you funny. They don't understand. But Start with the little French you know.
No.
Little broken, they'll start speaking English.
Nice.
That's how they love their language. But you have to start somewhere.
So now people are graduating here in Kenya, Italy,
Yes.
and you are in Paris.
Yes.
Unafanya kazi.
Yes.
At what point do you come back? Like, do you stay there for
No, I was
a
there
while,
for 3 months.
Okay.
I did training for 3 months. I was in Paris, and I forgot. There's another city there. I think it's called Denise. That's the headquarters of Air France. So they have training school, training campuses and stuff like that. How to use their system, how to serve customers and stuff like that. The good thing they were teaching in English, so that was no problem.
So during that period, I would actually love to ask you, what is the best lesson that you picked from that?
From France.
Yeah.
Of course, the best lesson is systems, business systems, how to run a business, how to run a big business. Of course, that's why I even asked many of my guys who are clearing schools or campus. They always tell me, I want to run into business right away. I ask them, how even do you know how to be a boss, how to be a leader? You learn from somebody else by having a boss. That's the way you learn on how to be a leader, how to be a boss, how to run a company, how systems are run, how businesses are run. So I always tell guys, when you clear school, it's important you go work for somebody somewhere. Even you can get the discipline of working there. And when you start your business, you'll know how to run it better. Since there are some things you cannot learn in school, like in business, I mean, there are challenges every day. So when you learn from somebody, it becomes easier. You save almost 10 years.
Yeah.
What you are running to do business right away, then you have to learn for 10, 20 years. You save it when you work under somebody for a while. Like my experience with Air France, of course, I was exposed to big business, and I learned how it's run, especially internationally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, now we just go to another part, but of course you have a very interesting story all the way from childhood coming up to college to Italy. You've gone to Paris. Some of us are still here. We are begging God. Anyway, so now it got to a point where you traveled to the US. You actually relocated from Kenya.
Yes.
When was that, and how did that whole story of relocation happen?
Oh, okay. So now when it came to Samia around 2009, Air France announced that they are closing their flights to Kenya.
Why?
By then, there was no business. There was better business elsewhere.
Yeah.
So they closed their passenger flights. They were just operating cargo flights from then. And I was in the passenger, I was the people facing.
Yeah.
So now that I was rendered jobless. And of course, I had this American dream. As a young boy, of course, I liked basketball, hip-hop music, all the good stuff. And then by the end, ulikuwa unaenda embassy unapata a big queue, people waiting to get visas to America. So I managed to get a visa. I went to America. I landed in Orlando, Florida. I had applied for a school, for Orlando Flying School, which I did for almost 6 months. I did flying. I can fly a plane. Yes.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yes.
Naona tunapata the juice. It's coming.
It's coming. Yeah, so of course, working at the airport, you see all the professionals who do what. And again, as an ambitious kid, I could see the captains dragging their bags to the plane with their budded shirts, and all the girls looking at them.
Wow. Of course, you had to say that point. Lazima ungeongea ukweli.
Ukweli, anafuatwa na maya hostess wengi nini. So it seems intriguing. So at the moment I thought, let me do this. No, at the moment I landed Utari, of course I lost my focus. Kiasi. Me, I wanted to be in real estate. I wanted to be in business and not travel and tourism business. My business I knew very well. It's in construction industry.
Okay.
So when I landed in America, I went to school. I worked for 6 months while working different jobs. Of course, flying, you go like for a few hours a day, then the rest of the day you're free.
So which are the jobs that you used to do in America?
Okay, I worked many. So I worked in a seafood restaurant. I was a dishwasher for a while, and I washed so many dishes with the fish. Even up today, I don't like seafood. But from there, of course, I learned to be humility. Sometimes you have to start from somewhere.
Yeah, true.
You've been sleeping in the house all day. You have no income. Your friends are going partying. They are the ones paying all the time. They are the one buying. So you're sitting there like a chick. Like what? No, chicks nowadays buy. So, but just sitting there like, no, this is not right. I have to do something. So I started there. In like a month's time, I got promoted to a buzzer. A buzzer is the one who cleans the table. Now I've graduated from the dishes.
Kupanguza tu meza.
Kupanguza meza, kubeba masahani na kuweka kwa dishwasher mwingine sasa. Okay. Hiyo ni graduation.
Nice.
Katoka hapo. Alafu sasa within a month's time, of course they can see the way I'm relating to people and stuff like that. So I became a waiter. So, and me, when I got promotion, especially in the jobs, it's not a challenge anymore. I needed a time to move on. So I got a job in another hotel as a bellman.
As a what?
Bellman. Bellman ni yule mtu anabeba muziko ya mteja. Akicheck in kwa hotel. I think jina heshima ni hiyo bellman. Lakini napaka kuitwa baggage man.
Okay.
Sasa unabeba mizigo kutoka kwa gari, naweka kwa trolley, naenda na mteja kwa check-in, ana check-in, alafu namfuata kwa room yake, nampangia mizigo. Of course, that was very exciting since there are so many lessons I learned from that on how to present yourself, how to treat a client. For example, when in America they like being asked, like, where are you from? They like explaining, they're excited about explaining about their place. So by the time they come to the check-in, you already know where they are from. By the moment you're leaving the reception to the room, how many kids do you have? No, it was in Orlando, then Florida, and people were coming to Disney World. So I would tell them about Disney, whatever. So by the time we get the room, they are already excited. They have the information. I've given them the information. So they would tip me well. Then I go off to the next. And I found that very interesting. And actually, like where I was working, there's one story I always remember. I had my supervisor, he was a Puerto Rican supervisor. He used to tell me, when you see a client, always smile, even if they are not smiling back at you. just put $1 in their face. Yeah, that's what you're smiling at. That's what you're enticing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a lesson. I mean, it's something which you have to learn. For example, I don't have to get an attitude because you have an attitude. You give me negative vibes, I give you positive vibes. So by the end of the day, even them, they end up turning their negative vibes to positive. So, and I'm always a very positive person in many things. I mean, I've had many challenges, many opportunities, but keeping positive is one thing which I know keeps me alive.
Well, because you've mentioned that there are challenges you went through, so can you take us through those challenges all the way from being a dishwasher throughout that small journey to where you've gone to another hotel to become a bell? You said it's a bellman.
Bellman.
Yes.
Yes. So of course, when you land in America, the first thing which really bothers you is the accent.
Yeah, language.
When you live here, you know that maybe you speak good English and stuff like that, and especially with my Vic Kimeru accent, it becomes a big problem.
Yeah.
So to pronounce some words, like for example, you go somewhere, you say, "I want some water." People will not understand what you're talking about. Like you go to a McDonald's and ask, "Can I get chips and sausage and water?" they will not understand. They'll even call the supervisor to come to hear what you're talking about. Oh, you said water? Yes, water. Chips and sausage? What kind of... There they don't eat sausage and chips. In fact, the chips is the crisps. They call them French fries. French fries. So there is under, let's say, a burger and fries and stuff like that. So of course, the language barrier before you get used. Even when you're going to do interviews for these jobs, of course, you do many interviews. And the bit of it, there they don't look even at your qualifications or what. There is how you explain yourself. You can even be a professor, know it all. But if you can't express yourself, forget about it. The person who will express themselves well gets the job.
What about the cousin?
Yes.
So now, what has happened to this course that you have done in Fly?
Yeah.
The flying course. Hujaitumia ama somewhere you've become a pilot?
No, now, of course, I did up to CPL. It's called PPL, private pilot license. I had not graduated to CPL, commercial pilot license. So after my 6 months, after flying for this time, I realized this was not my thing. I realized that this was a waste of money for me. I was not cut for this at all.
I hope it was your money, not your parents.
Of course.
Sababu,
ningepata shinda. So by then, now after working all this job, bellman and what, and while I was flying now, I was sustaining myself through these jobs. But now then, after the PPL, I realized now I have to go to back to my dream, to what makes my heart tick, which is the real estate industry. And the good thing, in the evening, I would watch TV channel talking about real estate. I would always educated myself. I would buy books. I would attend seminars. And then I thought to myself, I need to be in this industry. And to be in this industry, I need to learn from the bottom up. So where is the bottom? So I went and got a job as a construction worker in a site.
Still in America?
Still in America. So at the site, of course, I was doing some odd jobs, laying drywalls, bricks, stuff like that, cement, nimevaa helmet, apron, kila siku. So after a while, of course, I wanted now I've understood the business of construction. Hands-on. Not where like you supervise guys like now, I don't do it, although I miss it. So from construction site now, as I was at the site, of course, you'd see people driving nice cars, dressed good, coming to the site, probably to see the houses. And I used to talk to these guys who are coming in with the nice cars. And I would ask them, hi, how are you? What do you do? Tell me, let's say I'm a realtor, I'm a mortgage officer, I'm a developer, I'm a contractor. So I was very inquisitive, asking questions. So if I want to be like you, what do I need to do? And the beauty of it, like the Americans, when they know you want to learn, they really open up. So tell me, I do this course, work for a company or two, learn, then move on. And I did especially that. So after a while, I got from now the construction side. I went and did a course for being a realtor. There to practice real estate, you have to be licensed. And to be licensed, you have to be trained. Since you can't have professionals who are not trained. In fact, that's the problem we are suffering here in Kenya. Since in Kenya, somebody wakes up and house to let, they become agents just like that. But there you can't do that. You have to be trained, you have to be licensed.
Wow, that is good. I mean, I'm just loving it. I'm loving the whole thing. And right now, I think it will be fair enough if we just take a short break and maji, tuvute hewa. So when we come back to you, we are still coming back now with uvuto wa biashara ya the real estate from Mwenda Thuranira.